The smell hit me before the sun did. Dead fish, thick and sweet and wrong, baking in that pale Montana dawn like something the earth itself was ashamed of. I was standing on my dock at 6 a.m., coffee in hand, staring at Crystal Lake, my lake, and it looked like a crime scene. Hundreds of trout floating belly up. Water turned this sick blue-green color that burned your nostrils. 24 hours earlier it had been paradise. Now it looked like judgment. And the worst part? My security cameras caught everything. 3 trucks, 3:02 a.m. headlights off. Barrels rolled down like they were unloading trash. Chemicals poured straight into the water Emma, and I had dreamed about growing old beside. And behind it all, Vivian Hartwell, president of the Meadowbrook Estates, HOA, smiling like she'd just solved a minor inconvenience. Kill the fish, kill the fishing. Problem solved, right? Wrong. Let me back up a little, because this didn't start with poison. It started with grief. 6 months earlier, after Emma lost her fight with cancer, I took the $180,000 insurance payout and bought 40 acres of lakefront in Pine Ridge, Montana. Population 1,200 on a busy day. The kind of place where people wave even if they don't remember your name. Crystal Lake sat in the middle of my land like a sapphire dropped by accident. Snowmelt from the Rockies fed it. Underground springs kept it clear enough to see trout swimming 20 feet down. Emma and I had planned to retire there. Coffee at sunrise. Fishing lines drifting in mist that looked like whispered prayers. After she passed, I needed quiet. Needed pine needles crunching under my boots. Needed water that tasted metallic and real straight from the tap. I didn't want drama. I wanted peace. Peace lasted 3 weeks. That's when Vivian rolled up in her white BMW, clean enough to perform surgery on, and informed me I was running an illegal commercial fishing operation. I looked at my aluminum rowboat and 3 rods duct taped together and asked her if she'd lost her mind. She didn't blink. She handed me a certified letter threatening legal action unless I ceased watercraft activity. Watercraft. It was a rowboat. Turns out Meadowbrook Estates, that shiny subdivision downstream full of tech money and Florida-style mansions, thought my early morning fishing disturbed their lifestyle. And Vivian? She didn't just complain. She weaponized paperwork. Sheriff's deputies showed up at dawn. County citations. Environmental reviews. $3,500 fees to prove I wasn't running a trout empire. I spent days buried in courthouse basements that smelled like old paper and stale coffee, flipping through permits until my eyes crossed. That's when I found it. The twist in her perfect rose garden. Meadowbrook's development permits required a 50-foot environmental buffer around wetlands. Vivian's award-winning garden extended 73 feet into protected land. 17 homes in her subdivision violated county regulations. Automatic fines. Backdated to 2019. Rough math. About $847,000 in penalties. She thought she was choking me with legal vines. She didn't realize she'd planted herself in quicksand. So I filed complaints. Official ones. Environmental compliance. Zoning violations. Harassment documentation. I didn't yell. Didn't threaten. I just handed the county facts and let bureaucracy do what it does best, grind. Vivian escalated. My boat got chained to a tree with a laminated impounded sign. The local paper ran a story painting me as some eco-terrorist refusing to cooperate. Businesses were quietly warned not to associate with anti-environmental activity. Small-town economic pressure. Subtle. Dirty. And then she crossed the line. I came home one afternoon and found a landscaping crew unloading chemical drums 50 yards from my shoreline. Copper sulfate algicide. Preventive treatment, they said. Work orders signed by Pine Ridge Water Management District. Problem was, no such district existed. I knew copper sulfate. Navy Environmental Systems. It kills algae by poisoning everything else first. In high enough concentrations, it kills fish, plants, people. Sarah Finley, the county's environmental scientist, confirmed it fast. Forged documents. Fraud. Attempted chemical treatment with no authorization. That's when I learned something that changed everything. Crystal Lake wasn't just my lake. It was the primary water source for all 1,200 residents of Pine Ridge. Every faucet in town, every glass of water, including Vivian's. Her husband, Bradley Winters, environmental consultant for Meadowbrook's development, had signed the original study confirming that connection. They knew, and here's where it got ugly. When municipal water becomes contaminated beyond treatment capacity, cities have to find alternatives. Alternatives like the private wells Clearwater Development had drilled south of town, wells Bradley owned. It wasn't about fishing noise. It was about forcing the town to buy water from them at premium rates. They weren't just bullies. They were trying to manufacture a crisis. That realization sat in my chest like ice. I didn't lose my temper. I built a trap. Sarah installed real-time water quality sensors in my lake. Equipment so sensitive it could detect contaminants at parts per billion. Motion-activated cameras. Infrared. Satellite-linked alerts. Sheriff Rodriguez coordinated with the FBI Environmental Crimes Division quietly, carefully. We left a few gaps visible, made it look amateur, inviting. Vivian tried one more angle first, showed up with $50,000 cash in a leather briefcase. Offer me a fresh start somewhere warmer. Arizona, maybe. Just sign over the property. Withdraw the complaints. Walk away clean. I asked her what happened if I said no. Her smile thinned. Legal fees can ruin you. That conversation was recorded from 3 separate microphones hidden in my cabin, courtesy of Marcus Thompson, investigative journalist and part-time genius. And then 3 residents were hospitalized with copper poisoning symptoms. That sealed it. The town hall meeting Tuesday night was supposed to discuss water concerns. Instead, it became something else. High school gym packed wall to wall. 647 residents breathing the same anxious air. Bradley stood first, proposing Clearwater's temporary emergency water service at $15 per household per day. That's when I stood up. Sheriff Rodriguez announced federal involvement. I connected my laptop to the projector. Infrared footage of barrels being dumped. Audio of Vivian offering a bribe. GPS timestamps. Chemical analyses. Forged signatures. Real-time sensor logs. The gym went from quiet to volcanic in 10 seconds. Vivian tried calling me unstable, grieving, obsessed. And then the doors opened. FBI agent Rebecca Walsh walked in with an arrest warrant for conspiracy to commit environmental terrorism and attempted contamination of a municipal water supply. Handcuffs on designer sleeves. People cheered like they just won the World Series. That sound, 647 neighbors clapping as justice walked someone out in cuffs, that sound stays with you. 6 months later, Crystal Lake was clear again. Vivian got 18 months federal prison plus $847,000 in fines and restitution. Bradley got 2 years and liquidation of Clearwater Development. But the real victory wasn't the prison time. It was what Pine Ridge did with the money. They created the Emma Blackwood Environmental Scholarship, funded water monitoring permanently, bought back foreclosed Meadowbrook homes, and sold them to teachers, firefighters, veterans. The sterile lawns grew vegetable gardens. Kids' bikes leaned against fences. The subdivision stopped feeling like an invasion and started feeling like a neighborhood. Here's the thing I didn't understand at the beginning. Vivian thought power was money, connections, intimidation. She believed most people fold when paperwork gets expensive enough. She was right about one thing. A lot of people do fold. What she missed is that grief changes you. When you've already lost the person you love most, you stop being scared of people who threaten paperwork. When someone tries to poison the place your wife dreamed about, something quiet and stubborn wakes up. Not rage. Method. 26 years in the Navy taught me systems have weaknesses. You don't scream at them. You study them. Patience beats panic. Documentation beats drama. And sometimes justice doesn't look like revenge. It looks like a community deciding it won't be bought. Now it's dawn again as I sit on that same dock. Water clear. Trout visible. Sarah's inside, making coffee. Pine trees whisper like they always have. Emma's memory doesn't feel like an ache anymore. It feels like foundation. So here's the question that sticks with me. If that HOA letter showed up at your door, if someone with money and connections tried to bury you in legal threats, would you fight methodically? Or would you write the check and make it go away? Where's the line between defending what's yours and becoming consumed by the fight? I know what I chose. What would you choose? Tell me. Have you ever dealt with an HOA that overstepped? Did you push back or did you fold? Drop your story below. Let's talk about power, about community, about how far is too far when someone tries to take what's yours. Because sometimes the person who wins isn't the loudest or the richest. It's the one who stays calm long enough to read the fine print.